Section 17 of The Coming Race. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Reading by Mary Rohde. The Coming Race by Edward George Bulwer Lytton. Chapter 25, Part 1. "And this," said I, with my mind full of what I had witnessed, "this, I presume, is your usual form of burial?" "Our invariable form," answered Aph Lin. "What is it amongst your people?" "We inter the body whole within the earth." "What! To degrade the form you have loved and honored, the wife on whose breast you have slept, to the loathsomeness of corruption?" "But if the soul lives again, can it matter whether the body waste within the earth, or is reduced by that awful mechanism, worked no doubt by the agency of vril, into a pinch of dust?" "You answer well," said my host, "and there is no arguing on a matter of feeling. But to me your custom is horrible and repulsive, and would serve to invest death with gloomy and hideous associations. It is something, too, to my mind, to be able to preserve the token of what has been our kinsman or friend within the abode in which we live. We thus feel more sensibly that he still lives, though not visibly so to us. But our sentiments in this, as in all things, are created by custom. Custom is not to be changed by a wise An, any more than it is changed by a wise community, without the greatest deliberation, followed by the most earnest conviction. It is only thus that change ceases to be changeability, and once made is made for good." When we regained the house, Aph Lin summoned some of the children in his service and sent them round to several of his friends, requesting their attendance that day, during the easy hours, to a festival in honour of his kinsman's recall to the all good. This was the largest and gayest assembly I ever witnessed during my stay among the Ana, and was prolonged far into the silent hours. The banquet was spread in a vast chamber reserved especially for grand occasions. This differed from our entertainments, and was not without a certain resemblance to those we read of in the luxurious age of the Roman Empire. There was not one great table set out, but numerous small tables, each appropriated to 8 guests. It is considered that beyond that number conversation languishes and friendship cools. The Ana never laugh loud, as I have before observed, but the cheerful ring of their voices at the various tables betokened gaiety of intercourse. As they have no stimulant drinks, and are temperate in food, though so choice and dainty, the banquet itself did not last long. The tables sank through the floor, and then came musical entertainments for those who liked them. Many, however, wandered away. Some of the younger ascended in their wings, for the hall was roofless, forming aerial dances. Others strolled through the various apartments, examining the curiosities with which they were stored, or formed themselves into groups for various games, the favourite of which is a complicated kind of chess played by 8 persons. I mixed with the crowd, but was prevented joining in the conversation by the constant companionship of one or the other of my host's sons, appointed to keep me from obtrusive questionings. The guests, however, noticed me but slightly. They had grown accustomed to my appearance, seeing me so often in the streets, and I had ceased to excite much curiosity. To my great delight Z avoided me, and evidently sought to excite my jealousy by marked attentions to a very handsome young An, who, though, as is the modest custom of the males when addressed by females, he answered with downcast eyes and blushing cheeks, and was demure and shy as young ladies new to the world are in most civilized countries except England and America, was evidently much charmed by the tall Gy, and ready to falter a bashful yes if she had actually proposed. Fervently hoping that she would, and more averse to the idea of reduction to a cinder after I had seen the rapidity with which a human body can be hurried into a pinch of dust, I amused myself by watching the manners of the other young people. I had the satisfaction of observing that Z was no singular assertor of a female's most valued rights. Wherever I turned my eyes or lent my ears, it seemed to me that the Gy was the wooing party, and the An the coy and reluctant one. The pretty innocent airs which an An gave himself on being thus courted, the dexterity with which he evaded direct answers to professions of attachment, or turned into jest the flattering compliments addressed to him, would have done honour to the most accomplished coquette. Both my male chaperons were subjected greatly to these seductive influences, and both acquitted themselves with wonderful honour to their tact and self-control. I said to the elder son, who preferred mechanical employments to the management of a great property, and who was of an eminently philosophical temperament, I find it difficult to conceive how at your age, and with all the intoxicating effects on the senses, of music and lights and perfumes, you can be so cold to that impassioned young Gy who has just left you with tears in her eyes at your cruelty. The young An replied with a sigh, "Gentle Tish, the greatest misfortune in life is to marry one Gy if you are in love with another." "Oh, you are in love with another?" "Alas, yes." "And she does not return your love?" "I don't know. Sometimes a look, a tone, makes me hope so, but she has never plainly told me that she loves me." "Have you not whispered in her own ear that you love her?" "Fie! What are you thinking of? What world do you come from? Could I so betray the dignity of my sex? Could I be so un-Anly, so lost to shame, as to own love to a Gy who has not first owned hers to me?" "Pardon, I was not quite aware that you pushed the modesty of your sex so far. But does no An ever say to a Gy, 'I love you,' till she says it first to him?" "I can't say that no An has ever done so, but if he ever does, he is disgraced in the eyes of the Ana, and secretly despised by the Gy ei. No Gy, well brought up, would listen to him. She would consider that he audaciously infringed on the rights of her sex, while outraging the modesty which dignifies his own. It is very provoking," continued the An, "for she whom I love has certainly courted no one else, and I cannot but think she likes me. Sometimes I suspect that she does not court me because she fears I would ask some unreasonable settlement as to the surrender of her rights. But if so, she cannot really love me, for where a Gy really loves, she forgoes all rights." "Is this young Gy present?" "Oh yes, she sits yonder talking to my mother." I looked in the direction to which my eyes were thus guided, and saw a Gy dressed in robes of bright red, which among this people is a sign that a Gy as yet prefers a single state. She wears grey, a neutral tint, to indicate that she is looking about for a spouse; dark purple, if she wishes to intimate that she has made a choice; purple and orange when she is betrothed or married; light blue when she is divorced or a widow and would marry again. Light blue is of course seldom seen. Among a people where all are of so high a type of beauty, it is difficult to single out one as peculiarly handsome. My young friend's choice seemed